Hello, my name is Elizabeth. My life took a turn after 5 years of marriage to Edward. We were an ordinary couple. I was a teacher. He was a manager at an energy company, and life was pretty simple. And then his father died, leaving his mom, Mary, alone. She was alone in their family home. That's when Edward made his decision. "Elizabeth, we need to talk," Edward said sharply one evening. His tone was serious enough to make me take my eyes off the phone. I looked up. "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" I took a deep breath. "It's my mom. She's been alone in this old house since Dad died. I think we should move in with her." I felt my stomach churn at the sound of his word. "Edward, are you serious? Mary and I barely get along." He leaned against the kitchen counter. The expression on his face was hard. "I know what? She's my mom, and it's hard on her. Plus, we're just burning through money on this rented apartment." I ran my hand through my hair. "But it's our home. We need to move in with Mom." Edward's voice took on a muffled tone. "Please, Elizabeth, this isn't just about the apartment and the money. It's about family. Mom needs us." I bit my lip, feeling cornered. "Does your mom need us, or does your mom need you?" He frowned. "That's not fair, Elizabeth. It's not like I'm asking you to live in a dump. It's a huge house. There's room for all of us." I crossed my arms, feeling the tension building. "What about our life here? Just ruin everything because Mary snapped her fingers." Edward's tone hardened. "It isn't, and you know it." "I'm thinking about what's best for everyone," Edward answered back. "For everyone or just Mary?" He threw up his hands in frustration. "Damn it, Elizabeth. Can't you just try to see the bigger picture?" I glared at him. "I'm looking at the bigger picture, Edward. Our lives, our independence. Not just playing happy families in that dingy old house of hers." The argument went round and round. But in the end, I gave in to Edward for the sake of peace. But deep down, I dreaded every little thing. Moving day came, and it was as uncomfortable as I had imagined. Mary's house was an imposing old building with echoing rooms and a constant chill in the air. Mary greeted us with a stern smile. "Welcome to my home. I expect you to respect my routines." I strained a smile, trying to keep the peace. "Of course. Mary, we thank you for allowing us to stay." But living with Mary was like living with a hawk. She had her remarks on everything. "Don't put the dishes like that," or "you water the plants too much." One night, after a particularly harsh criticism of my cooking, "I can't do a damn thing right for your mother. It's like living with a stepmother who hates you." Edward rubbed his temples, looking equally frustrated. "Elizabeth, just give her time. She's old and used to her way." I threw my hands in the air. "Good. Then we'll tiptoe around her for the rest of eternity?" He didn't have an answer, and frankly, neither did I. This house, with its constant surveillance and Mary's watchful eyes, living in Mary's house, was becoming a daily nightmare. Just when I thought I could handle it, Edward gave out another one of his solutions. It was a lazy Sunday afternoon, and I was trying to find some peace in the garden when he entered the garden. "Elizabeth, we need to talk," Edward said, leaning against the garden gate, feeling my stomach grow cold. "What now?" Edward took a deep breath. "I think you should quit your job and stay home. We're spending a fortune on a nurse and a housekeeper for Mom. It makes more sense." I stood up with my shoulders up. "Quit your job?" "Edward, I love teaching. It's not just about the money." He ran his hand through his hair. His tone became irritated. "I know, but think about it. Things will get easier around here." I shook my head. Disbelief swept over me. "So what? I'll just become a full-time maid." "That's not the life I want. It's not about what we want, Elizabeth. It's about what's practical. Your mom, I didn't sign up to be her nurse, I replied. Well, things change, and we have to adapt, but I love my job, my independence. It's not an adjustment, it's a sacrifice. You know what, Edward? I'll do it, but don't expect me to be happy about it. He sighed. A look of relief appeared on his face. Thank you, Elizabeth. That I felt like I was losing a part of myself. Leaving work was very hard, but the days that followed were even harder. I was now a full-time housekeeper, caregiver, and cook. Mary was always adding her comments about every third. The curtains needed washing, she'd say, or the soup was too salty. It was endless. One day I snapped when she started criticizing the way I washed her clothes, and I couldn't hold back any longer. Mary, can you just stop? I'm doing the best I can. She looked dumbfounded. I'm sorry, but I have my own demands, Elizabeth. I threw the iron on Edward. My voice shook with anger. I'm not your maid, Mary. I am your son's wife. I'm here to help. And all you do is criticize me. There was silence for a moment, and then Mary's expression softened slightly. I know you're trying. It's just that I'm used to a certain way of doing things. I sighed, feeling the tension drain out of me. I know, Mary, but I'm not you. I have my own way of doing chores and cooking. Things have gotten a little better since that day. Mary toned down her criticism, and I tried to adjust to her quirks. It was a fragile truce, but it was better than the constant bickering that lingered in Mary's house. The atmosphere became increasingly tense, almost suffocating. Edward's behavior became increasingly aloof and elusive. He was constantly late from work, and when he was home, he could become invisible, lurking in the spare room as if it were his sanctuary. One night, unable to bear the silence and distance any longer, I cornered him in the kitchen. Edward, what's happening to you? You're barely there, and when you do, it's like you're not even my husband anymore. He avoided my eyes, absently stirring his coffee. Worst nightmare imaginable. I leaned my back against the wall and folded my arms. I'm stressed and mentally exhausted, Edward, and it's like you're shutting me out. You're here, but you're not really here. He exhaled heavily, his eyes still fixed on the coffee. I don't know what you want me to say, Elizabeth. I'm just very busy at work. I wanted to believe him, but something inside me was screaming that I didn't, and that Edward was lying to me somewhere. And then there was Maggie, Edward's sister, who made it her mission to stir up tension. Every visit from her was a challenge. She'd look around the house with a grin and sarcasm. Still stuck in that old hole. Huh. I usually bit my tongue. But one day her talk struck a nerve. We don't all have the opportunity to leave, Maggie, I replied back. Your mom needs help. Look at you. You're pathetic, Maggie said. I clenched my jaw, holding back the barrage of words. Edward had never defended me. His silence was further evidence of the growing chasm between us. One day Mary called out to Maggie. Her voice was weak and desperate. Maggie, I need help with the bathroom. I can't manage on my own anymore. Maggie's answer was cold and harsh. Help yourself, Mom. I'm not your nurse. Mary burst into tears, and my heart couldn't take it, despite our relationship with Mary. I couldn't leave her like that. I helped her take a bath, and something changed between us that day. Mary began to treat me more warmly, not as an intruder. It was a welcome change, but it also showed how far Edward and I had drifted apart. The house seemed colder and emptier, despite Mary's newfound warmth toward me. The walls seemed to echo the growing silence between Edward and me, a chasm that seemed to widen with each passing day. And with each passing day, my relationship with Edward grew colder and colder. Edward's tardiness at work became the norm, and our conversations became an exchange of a few phrases. It was during one of these fleeting conversations that Edward broke new news that added to the growing pile of secrets and lies. "Elizabeth, I got an apartment near work," he said nonchalantly, as if he were talking about the weather. I almost dropped my plate. I was cleaning the apartment. "Why on earth would you want to do that?" He leaned against the door jamb, avoiding my gaze. "It's just practical. Elizabeth saves me from having to drive to work, especially when I get in late at night." I felt a surge of anger and confusion, and he just decided that without talking to me. "What are we, roommates now?" He shrugged his shoulders. His indifference cut deeply. "Less stress about me coming home late." I shook my head. Disbelief colored my tone. "It felt like you were living a double life. What's next? Are you going to say you have a second family there?" He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Don't be so dramatic, Elizabeth. It's not like that at all." That was the end of the conversation, like so many of our conversations in those days. The real scandal came a few days later in a frank conversation with Mary. We were in the living room, sharing rare moments of calm, when she suddenly said, "You know, Edward didn't rent. He bought this apartment, and not with his own money." I looked at her, perplexed. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. "Go on," I asked. "He used my savings. He said they were investments. He even put them in my name." I felt my heart ache. "He used your money," I said, "and you put up with it?" Mary shrugged, sadness in her eyes. I couldn't say no. "He's my son, but I thought you should know." Edward's secret apartment was one thing, but using my mother's savings under the guise of an investment, it was like my husband, becoming a stranger with secrets and constant lies. A few days later, I asked Edward about it. "Edward, why didn't he tell me that the apartment was bought with your mom's money?" He was implacable, almost defiant, because I knew he was reacting that way. "It's an investment in an apartment, no big deal." I couldn't believe his audacity. "It's no big deal. You're gambling with your mother's savings and hiding it from me." "What else are you hiding?" He turned away, ending the conversation with a dismissive wave of his hand. "What you don't realize is that this is a business. Business that was like a chasm between us and an excuse for everything that went wrong in our marriage." Life in Mary's dreary old house was taking its smells that had probably once been brightly colored were now echoing gloomily. One day I just couldn't take it anymore. "Mary, have you ever thought of renovating the house?" I asked at breakfast. "It could do with some freshening up." Mary looked up from her tea, surprised at the renovation. "I haven't thought about it for years. It's such a big task." I nodded, feeling a spark of enthusiasm. "I know, but it could really spruce up the house. Maybe just start with a new coat of paint or new wallpaper." Mary thought for a moment. "Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt to breathe the new life into this old house, but are you sure you're up for it?" I smiled. "Will you take on the project someday?" "Absolutely. It would be a nice job." That's how it started. I plunged headlong into renovation, painting walls, choosing wallpaper, and even trying to restore old furniture. It was hard work, but it was enjoyable. I thought about bringing life back into the house and, in a way, into myself. One day, when I was making repairs and was covered in paint, Edward came in. He looked around. His expression was one of shock and disbelief. "What the hell, Elizabeth? What are you doing to my mom's house?" I stood up, wiping the sweat from my forehead. "I'm renovating Edward's house." "What?" "We discussed it with Mary. It's time to give this house some love and care." Edward's face turned red. "You have no right to start making changes without asking me." I felt myself flare up. "You're home. When was the last time you took care of this place, Edward? I'm doing something good here." He took a step closer. His voice got higher. You're overreacting, Elizabeth. You always do. Taking matters into your own hands and pushing everyone else aside. I stared at him incredulously. Pull yourself together, Edward. I'm trying to make this dreary place livable. Maybe if you'd spent more time here, you'd have seen that before Edward could answer. Mary walked in. What is this? Edward turned to his mom. Did you know about this? About her decision to do the renovations? Mary looked first at Edward, then back. Yes, I did. And I'm glad she's doing it. This house needed a change, and Elizabeth is doing a wonderful job. Edward looked like he'd been slapped in the face. But this is our family home. It's my home, Edward, Mary said, and I want it to be. Elizabeth has every right to do what she does. Edward ran out of the room, leaving Mary and me in awkward silence. I felt a mixture of triumph and sadness. The house was transforming, but the gulf between Edward and me only seemed to widen. The day Mary had her stroke, my world had been turned upside down. I was by her side, watching her sudden deterioration, her slurred words, her body weakening. Panic gripped me as I called for help. My voice shook with fear as I called the hospital. After the stroke, the doctor told us the bad news. Mary would need constant care. I turned to Edward for support, but there wasn't the concern for Mom in his eyes that I expected to see. I can't deal with this. I have enough on my plate, he said coldly. I was stunned. You can't handle it, Edward. She's your mother. He shrugged, his answer cutting like a knife. Yes, and she's been a burden for years. I couldn't hide my disgust. She's not a burden, Edward. She's our family, and she needs us. His laugh was bitter. Elizabeth, she needs you. I have other things to do. I was at a loss for words. My respect for him plummeted. I took over Mary's care. It was hard to watch a once strong woman bedridden and dependent on every little thing. As I became Mary's caregiver, Edward's visits became less frequent and his indifference more obvious, and his visits were short. His conversations with Mary were brief and perfunctory. Then Maggie came. I overheard the conversation between Edward and Maggie in the living room, and it was very hypocritical. We should start thinking about a will to divide the estate, Maggie said, her voice devoid of any emotion. I stormed into the room. Fury bubbled in my veins. How could you be so heartless? She's still here. Maggie smirked. Her words were harsh. Oh, look who's talking. The saintly daughter-in-law. This is our family's business. Stay out of it, Edward said, cynicism in his voice. It's practical to plan these things. It's no use pretending she'll recover. I was struck by his cruelty. Practical. She's your mother. How could he be so heartless? He shrugged, answering, cold and detached. Life is ruthless, Elizabeth. It's best to face it. I turned away with disgust in my heart. I devoted the next weeks to caring for Mary, and to my surprise, she showed signs of improvement. Her hands began to obey. Her speech became clearer. She was even able to take a few steps. For me, it was a miracle, but for Edward and Maggie, it was their true nature was now apparent. Mother's improved health was nothing more than an inconvenience to them, an obstacle in the way of an inheritance. The betrayal had deeply wounded Elizabeth, not only as a daughter-in-law, but as a human being. Mary's health was constantly bouncing around, like a roller coaster, as small victories were overshadowed by the looming fear of the worst. And then it happened. Another stroke, this time more severe. The call from the hospital was like a punch to the gut. Mary didn't survive. The funeral was somber. I stood at the grave with a heavy heart and watched people pay their respect. That's when Edward showed up, and with him, a woman I didn't recognize, and 2 small children clinging to her arms. Who is it? I whispered to myself, keeping my eyes on the stranger. Edward approached, his expression unreadable. Elizabeth, this is Carol, my wife, and these are our children. I felt like I'd been slapped. Your wife? When did this happen? There's a coldness in his voice. A while ago. It's none of your business, Elizabeth. I was speechless, my thoughts scattered. How could he? And all this time Maggie had been by Mary's side. I stared at her, contempt in my voice. I was there for Mary when you both left her. Don't you dare judge me, Edward intervened. Let's get this over with. We have other matters to discuss. After the funeral was over, and everyone had moved to Mary's house for the reading of the will, Edward and Maggie waited like vultures eagerly for their share. The lawyer began to read the will, and that's when the dreaded bombshell hit them. The house, the money, it all goes to me. Hello, my name is Elizabeth. My life changed suddenly after 5 years with Edward. We were a perfectly ordinary married couple. I taught school, and he was a manager at a renewable energy company. Our lives flowed smoothly, but everything changed when his father passed away, leaving his mother, Mary, all alone in the large family mansion. It was then that Edward made an important decision. Elizabeth, we need to have a serious talk, Edward said abruptly one evening. His tone was so serious that I instinctively put the phone away. Glaring at him, I asked. He sighed deeply. It's about Mom. She's all alone in that old mansion after Dad left. I think we should move in and live with her. My heart squeezed at his words. Edward, you do realize that Mary and I have never been close. He leaned against the kitchen table, and his gaze became adamant. I know, but she's my mother, and it's hard on her. Besides, we're literally draining money living in a rented apartment. I fixed my hair, feeling out of place. But it's our home, our territory. We have to move in with Mom, he repeated, his voice deeper and more convincing. Please, Elizabeth, this isn't just a matter of housing and money. This is a family issue. Mom needs our support. I bit my lip involuntarily, feeling myself pressed against a wall. Does your mom need us, or do you need her? I asked. His eyebrows drew together in a frown. That's not fair, Elizabeth. It's not like I'm suggesting you live in an uninhabitable place. There's plenty of room in that. I crossed my arms over my chest, feeling the tension building. What about our life here? Just leave everything behind because Mary snapped her fingers. Edward's voice grew harsher. You know that's not it. I'm thinking about what's right for all of us, he replied. For everyone or just Mary? His gesture of disappointment was obvious as he waved his hands in the air. Damn it, Elizabeth. Can't you try to see the bigger picture? Edward exclaimed as our argument reached its limit. I met his gaze. I do see the big picture, Edward. Our life, our independence, not just life in this dark, dingy mansion, playing the perfect family. Our argument spun in a vicious circle. In the end, I gave in for the sake of peace, but inside me, I resisted it. When moving day came, it was just as gloomy as I had imagined. Mary's mansion was grand, but it didn't feel cozy in its echoing halls and cold corridors. Mary greeted us with a low-key greeting. Welcome to my home, she said. I expect you to abide by my rules. I responded with a smile, trying to maintain my friendliness. Of course, Mary. However, life with Mary was like living under constant supervision. She always found something to pick on, put the dishes the wrong way. You water the flowers too much. One evening, after a particularly harsh criticism of me about dinner, I went up to our room to see Edward. I can't do anything right for your mother. It's like living with an evil stepmother. Edward massaged his temples, looking as tired as I was. Elizabeth, give her time. She's of age and used to a certain routine. I spread my arms to my sides. So what? We're supposed to dance around her for the rest of our lives. He couldn't find anything to answer, and frankly, I didn't have an answer either. This house, with its constant surveillance and Mary's watchful gaze, seemed like a cage. Living in her house had become a daily probation. And just when I thought I was on the verge, Edward suggested a new solution. It was a sluggish Sunday, and I was seeking solitude in the garden when he approached me. "Elizabeth, we need to talk." I looked up, feeling a chill grow in my stomach. "What now?" Edward took a deep breath. "I think you should quit your job and stay home. We're spending too much on a nurse and housekeeper for Mom. It would be easier and more economical." I stood up, not believing my ears. "Quit, Edward? But I love teaching, don't you? It's not just a matter of money." He ran a hand through his hair, his tone becoming irritated. "I know, but think about it." I shook my head, shocked. "So what? I'm supposed to become a full-time housekeeper? That's not the life I want. It's not about what we want, Elizabeth. It's about what's practical." I didn't agree to be her caregiver. I objected. Yes, things change and we have to adapt. I agreed with Edward, though my heart clenched at the thought of leaving my job. But I love my business, my independence. "It's not an adaptation, Edward. It's a sacrifice." And look of relief on his face when I added, "Okay, I'll do it, but don't expect me to be thrilled about it." "Thank you, Elizabeth. It means a lot to me," he said. I felt as if I had lost a part of myself leaving my job. But the days that followed were even more depressing. I was now a full-time housekeeper, caregiver, and cook. Mary always found an excuse to comment. "The curtains need washing," she'd say. "The soup is too salty." It was endless. One day I couldn't stand it when she criticized the way I washed her clothes. "Mary, would you please stop?" I exclaimed, doing my best. She looked dumbfounded. "I'm sorry, but I'm used to a certain order," she replied. I threw the iron on the table, my voice shaking with anger. "I'm not your maid, Mary. I'm your son's wife and I'm here to help, but all you do is criticize." Silence hung in the air, but then Mary's expression softened. "I know you're trying. It's just that I'm used to a certain way of doing things," she said. I sighed, feeling the tension go away. "I understand, Mary, but I'm not you. I have my own way of running a household and cooking." Things had gotten a little better since that day. Mary began to criticize less, and I tried to adjust to her habits. It was an unstable truce, but it was preferable to the endless arguments at Mary's house. The tension in the house was growing, however, almost heartbreaking. Edward was growing more and more distant, often staying late at work and becoming invisible at home, hiding in his hiding place, the extra room. One evening, unable to tolerate the silence and distance, I approached him in the kitchen. "Edward, what's wrong?" I asked, searching his eyes for answers. "You're barely here, Edward. And when you are here, you don't seem like my husband anymore," I said, feeling sadness and disappointment mingle in my voice. He avoided meeting my gaze, absent-mindedly stirring his coffee, and it was like the worst of nightmares. I leaned my back against the wall and crossed my arms over my chest. "I'm under pressure, Edward. I'm stressed, and I'm mentally tired. And you seem so distant. You're here, but you're not really here." He sighed heavily, not taking his eyes off his coffee. "I don't know what you want me to say, Elizabeth. I'm just really busy at work." I wanted to believe him, but something deep inside told me that wasn't all there was to. And then there was Maggie, Edward's sister, who seemed to deliberately add to the tension. Her every visit was an ordeal. "You're still stuck in that old hole, aren't you?" She threw sarcastically, looking around the house. I usually tried to ignore it, but one day her words hit me right in the heart. "We don't all have the opportunity to leave, Maggie," I replied. "Your mom needs help. Look at you. You're pathetic," Maggie said, and I clenched my teeth, holding back a response. Edward never stood up for me. His silence was further proof of the growing distance between us. Mary called out to Maggie one day, her voice sounding weak and desperate. "Maggie, I need help with the bathroom. I can't manage on my own anymore." But Maggie's response was cold and harsh. "Help yourself, Mom." As Mary burst into tears, I couldn't stay away. Despite our differences, I helped her. And that day, something changed between us. Mary began to treat me more warmly, not as an intruder. It was a welcome change, but it also emphasized how far Edward and I had drifted apart. The house seemed even colder and emptier, despite the new warmth in my relationship with me. Every day my relationship with Edward grew colder. He stayed late at work more and more often, and our conversations dwindled to a few words. One day, during one of those brief conversations, he said, as if in passing, "Elizabeth, I rented an apartment near work." I almost dropped the plate I was washing. "Why do you need an apartment?" I asked, not hiding my surprise. He leaned against the door jamb and continued to avoid my gaze. "It's convenient. It saves me from having to drive to work every day, especially when I stay out late." I felt everything inside freeze with anger and confusion. He had decided this without any discussion with me. "So what are we, roommates now?" I asked, unable to hide my resentment. Edward shrugged, his indifference hurting me deeply. "It relieves the stress of coming home late," he said. Disbelief colored my voice. "I think you're living a double life." "What's next? Are you going to say you have a second family there?" He sighed, massaging his forehead. "Don't be dramatic, Elizabeth. It's not that bad." That was where our conversation broke off, like so many others in those days. The real scandal came a few days later during a frank conversation with Mary. We were sitting in the living room, enjoying rare moments of calm, when she suddenly said, "You know, Edward didn't just rent the apartment, he bought it, and not with his own money." I looked at her, not understanding. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. "Go on," I begged. "He used my savings, said it was an investment, even put them in my name." My heart ached. "He used your money," I repeated. "And you agreed to that?" I couldn't say no. "He's my son, but I thought you should know." Edward's secret apartment was one thing, but using his mother's savings under the guise of an investment felt like a betrayal. When I asked Edward about it a few days later, he was adamant, almost defiantly calm. "It's an investment. No big deal." I was taken aback by his audacity. "Nothing special. You're risking your mother's savings, and you're hiding it from me. What else are you hiding?" He turned away, ending the conversation with a dismissive wave of his hand. "You don't understand. This is business," he said, as if that was an excuse for everything that was going wrong in our marriage. Living in Mary's old house was weighing on me. The walls, once perhaps brightly colored, now echoed gloomily. One day I couldn't take it anymore. "Mary, have you ever thought of renovating the house?" I asked at breakfast. "It could use some freshening up." She looked up from her cup of tea, glancing at me in surprise. "I haven't thought about it in years. It's such a big task." I nodded, feeling a surge of enthusiasm. "I know, but it could change the atmosphere of the house for the better. Maybe we should start with a new coat of paint or new wallpaper," I suggested. Mary thought for a moment. "Yes, that could bring new life to this old house, but are you sure you're ready for that kind of change?" I smiled. "Of course, it would be wonderful. It's exactly what we need." And so I began the renovations. choosing paint, wallpaper, restoring old furniture. The work was difficult. I felt like I was bringing life back, not only to the house, but also to myself. One day, when I was in the middle of the renovation, covered in paint, Edward walked in. His gaze slid over the renovated walls, and I saw a mixture of surprise and disapproval on his face. "What have you done to my mother's house, Elizabeth?" he asked sharply. I stood up, trying to hide my fatigue. "I am restoring the house, Edward. Mary knows about it. It's a house that needs care and attention." Edward flushed with anger. "You have no right to change anything without my consent. This is my family home, not your personal project." I felt irritated. "Your home? When was the last time you took care of it?" Edward's voice grew louder. "You always take on too much, Elizabeth. You always want to control everything and everyone." I met his gaze with a challenge. "Calm down, Edward. I just want this house to be a home again. Maybe if you spent more time here, you'd realize that." Before Edward could respond, Mary entered the room. "What's going on here?" Edward turned to her. "Did you know about this? That she started the renovations?" Mary looked at him, then at me. "Yes, I knew, and I'm glad Elizabeth is doing it. This house needs changes, and she's handling it beautifully." Edward looked flabbergasted. "But this is our house. It's my home, Edward," Mary said firmly, "and I want Elizabeth to continue with the renovations." Edward left the room, leaving Mary and me in silence. I felt a mixture of triumph and sadness. The house was changing, but the gap between the day Mary had her stroke, my world had been turned upside down. I was there, seeing her weakness, her muddled words, her body losing strength. Fear gripped me as I called out for help. After the stroke, the doctors said Mary now needed constant care. I looked to Edward for support, but he was indifferent. There was no concern in his gaze for the mother I so desperately wanted to see. "I have enough to worry about," Edward said coldly. I was shocked. "You can't handle it, Edward. She's your mother." He shrugged, his answer harsh and ruthless. "Yes, she's been a burden for years. I couldn't hide my—" "She's not a burden, Edward. She's our family, and she needs us." His laughter was bitter. "No, Elizabeth, she doesn't. She needs you. I have my own things to do." I was stunned. My respect for him crumbled. I took it upon myself to take care of Mary. It was hard to see a woman once full of strength become helpless as I became Mary's caregiver. Edward's visits became increasingly infrequent and his indifference obvious. His visits were short, his conversations with Mary superficial. Then Maggie showed up. I overheard their conversation in the living room, and it was full of hypocrisy. "We need to start thinking about the will and the division of property," Maggie said, her voice cold and unemotional. I stormed into the room, angry. "How can you be so cruel?" Discussing her will right in front of her. Maggie grinned. "Oh, look who says saintly daughter-in-law. This is our family's business." "Stay out of it," Edward said with cynicism in his voice. "Elizabeth, stay out of our affairs. It's practical to plan these things. There's no point in pretending she's going to get better." I was shocked at his cruelty. Practical. "She's your mother, Edward. How could he be so soulless?" He shrugged, his answer cold and detached. "Life is cruel, Elizabeth. Better get used to it." Over the next weeks, I nursed Mary, and to my surprise, her condition began to improve. Her hands became more obedient, her speech clearer, and she was even able to take a few steps. It was a miracle to me. But to Edward and Maggie, it was nothing but trouble, and their true intentions became clear. Mary's improved health was nothing more than an obstacle to their inheritance. This betrayal deeply hurt Elizabeth, not only as a daughter-in-law, but as a human being. Mary's health continued to fluctuate, and every small success was overshadowed by the fear of a possible worse outcome. And then that day came. Another stroke, more severe than the previous one. The call from the hospital was like a punch in the gut. The funeral was a difficult atmosphere. I stood at her grave with a heavy heart, watching people say goodbye. Edward appeared at that moment, and with him a woman I didn't recognize and 2 children holding her hands. "Who is it?" I whispered, not taking my eyes off the stranger. Edward approached, his expression impenetrable. "Elizabeth, this is Carol, my wife, and these are our children." I felt like I'd been slapped in the... "Your wife? When did that happen?" He shrugged, his voice turning cold. "It happened some time ago." "It's none of your business, Elizabeth." I was left speechless, my thoughts scattering in all directions. How could he? All this time, Maggie had been by Mary's side. I looked at her with contempt. "I was by Mary's side when you both left her." "Don't you dare judge me," Edward interjected. "Let's end this scene. We have other matters to discuss." When the funeral was over and the guests gathered at Mary's house for the reading of the will, Edward and Maggie waited like vultures for their share. But when the lawyer began to read the will, they were hit with a surprise. The house and the money were bequeathed to me. Edward's face had been filled with smugness before, but now it expressed complete shock. "That's impossible. How could this have happened?" Maggie was beyond angry. "It's absurd. She was our mother." Edward stood stunned, lost in the sea of his feelings. He turned to me, his voice full of reproach. "You manipulated her, didn't you? Made her turn her back on us." I shook my head, my voice tinged with a mixture of disbelief and anger. "I just cared about her, unlike you," the lawyer interjected. "Mary was very clear in her will." Maggie was beyond pissed off. "This isn't over. We will go to court. We're not going to let this happen." When they left, I was alone in the house that was now legally mine, within the walls that had witnessed so much joy and pain, betrayal and love. I looked around, feeling the weight of Mary's kindness and the burden of contempt that the broken family ties had left behind. The house seemed completely different now, as if Mary's last will had echoed in it. Sitting with the will in my hands, I was still trying to understand what had happened. Mary had left everything to me, and Edward and Maggie were filled with resentment. They came back the next day. "Do you really think you can just take it all away?" Maggie asked. But I knew I would stand my ground, for it was Mary's last wish. If you like the stories on our channel, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and put a bell to be the first listeners of another new story. Good luck and come back. It will be interesting.